Welcome back to World War Live, everybody. I'm your host, Conrad Franz, here on September 9th, Tuesday evening at 7:51 p.m. here in Austin, Texas, Central Time. I have a haircut that I'm still growing into. I might get so insecure I got to put my hat on, but things are going crazy right now. I don't even have time to do a full-on intro, so I'm just going to do a brief shill. Be sure to subscribe. Link down below, worldwarnow.co. Support the show. Get behind the paywall. We lost some paid subs this week, so if you're hearing this and you feel bad for me and you want to support the show, please, please, please get behind that paywall. We're about to drop an Anthony of Westgate episode tomorrow morning, so prepare for that. You're going to be getting that really good discussion on Palantir, Peter Thiel from Anthony of Westgate. So get behind the paywall, worldwarnow.co. And of course, leave the super chats if you want me to answer any questions, if you want to ask a question about everything that's going on, because there's some crazy stuff going on tonight. I don't even know if I'm going to have time to, I don't know, maybe we won't even have time for ethno guesser, guys. I mean, it's been 19 shows and potentially no ethno guessers. So that's how crazy things are right now. So many different topics. So gonna have to dive into it. I already got some super chats from Jonathan. So everyone, if you want to ask any questions about these Russian strikes on Poland, the Israeli strike on Qatar, the overthrow of the government in Nepal, all this craziness going on right now, be sure to send me a super chat and I will answer it. I am, of course, Conrad Franz, host of World War Now Ether Hour and, of course, World War Live. And we are here covering the ongoing Third World War week by week, day by day. Follow us on all the social media, World War Now _ follow me at GnomeRad on Twitter. I'm also going to be, there might be a bit of a content hiatus because this very week I'm headed to Moldova and Russia. So that's right, everybody. You might get some pretty good content from me here in the next few weeks. May or may not talk to some interesting people. So keep me in your prayers as I travel, as all of these things go down. We are streaming to Substack, YouTube, and X. So I want to see if you're in any of those chats. Be sure to say hello. We've already got some great super chats here tonight. We're going to be showing the screen, talking about everything that's going on. I'm vociferously monitoring Telegram. Things are breaking by the minute. Of course, we've got $20 from Alan Wong. Good to see you in the chat, Alan. Church New Year, Nativity of the Most Holy Theotokos. Indeed, it is. Blessed Nativity of the Holy Theotokos to everybody. Recently celebrated it on the new calendar myself. And of course, happy ecclesiastical New Year. What is it? It is now year 7,533 or 34 since the creation of the universe. So happy year 7534. It's good to see everybody here in the chat. $2 from Jonathan Kelly. Nice haircut. Thank you, my friend. I think it'll grow in. I'll grow into it. It's going to look good. $5 from Jonathan. The Russian drone. Something finally is happening. Say thank you to Putler. I'll do my best if I run into Putler himself. Right now, it says 55 Russian drones in Ukrainian airspace. Poland has completely closed its border with Belarus. The initial reports indicated, I mean, literally, let me share the screen and find the map that literally showed drones just flying directly into Poland towards this airport that apparently is surrounded by dozens of Patriot missile batteries. Stop that screen share and try a different one. Boom. So if people can see this, you can see the yellow sections. These are all drones. A lot of drones flying in from Belarus. Apparently, that was the big news. Was drones went into Poland from Belarus. The drones were escorted by Belarusian fighter jets, which would be some of the most involvement we've directly seen of the Belarusian armed forces in a very long time. So, and you can see right here, these are these drones that are supposedly, they flew. It's not like this was a mistake. This wasn't like, the few times they've maybe been shot down in Ukraine and then crashed across the border. These things were flying directly towards Poland. They were shot down by Polish jets, Polish air defense. So this is a major, major development. It literally happened after I made the title for this stream, which is clearly Israel strikes Qatar, which we're also going to talk about because Trump just said, I believe I have that right here. Trump, he said, we are not thrilled about the way that went down today in impromptu interview commenting on the Israeli airstrikes on Qatar. The information we have right now, and we're in a lot of fog of war on the Poland stuff, on the Qatar stuff. So don't clip this a few days from now when all of the dust has settled and try to tell me that, there we go, the light was too bright, and try to tell me that, I was making up nonsense because I'm just going off what, everyone's reading in the news right now and what everybody is seeing. But obviously, the reports that we have right now are that the United States alerted Qatar 10 minutes before the strike. And the idea, the narrative right now I've seen is that it was Israel and the U.S. had effectively lured the political bureau of Hamas to, which there's conflicting reports that the initial reports said all of them were present. That's clearly was not true. Only two of them, I think, were really present to negotiate this new ceasefire hostage deal that we had been discussing. I had been tweeting about it. We'd been posting about this. Trump wants all the hostages released, and this is multiple war crimes here. This would violate a number of international norms and whatnot. You can't lure people to peace negotiations and then blow them up. And obviously, Israel just impromptu striking Qatar, which is literally the headquarters of CENTCOM in the Middle East. Major U.S. bases are there. This is a country that is very much not involved usually in the hot fighting itself. That's why the Iran strike on it was a big deal. And we're going to have to watch closely. Are the Qataris going to be more mad about the Iranian strike that killed nobody on the American base, as opposed to a strike that killed a Qatari policeman and struck Qatari infrastructure, homes and neighborhoods in Doha? We're going to have to see how much of a U.S. vassal are you, right? But $10 from Jonathan Kelly. So you can afford a bottle of water at the airport. Thank you, Jonathan. Greatly appreciate it. I'll use it to buy some non-reverse osmosis filtered water, some real spring water. So I'll be treating myself to some Fiji or some Evian on you, brother. Thank you. But we've got, what do we have here? Apparently the drone situation hasn't been confirmed by Polish authorities, and some of the media are saying all this news came exclusively from Ukraine. If this is all a false flag, that would be very interesting. That could easily be what happened. And then I think we are we might be able to play some ethno guesser this evening, but I think this news, even if this is fake news, we still have a lot of other stuff to talk about. And if it's fake news, that's a story in and of itself. But Poland, they have completely closed their border with Belarus. That seems to be official. And obviously Lviv and Kiev apparently are both reportedly under major attacks. So that's what's going on right now. Going to scroll a little bit up on the Telegram. We got to talk about the Nepal stuff too. I'm going to have to pull up some of my posts. I thought it was a banger. Let's stop the screen share for a sec and get a different post up. Before that, we'll close the DMs and we'll share the screen. Briefly discuss the Nepal situation. We also have to discuss the Irina situation. There's a lot of stuff I could go off on here. A lot of, any number of these topics. I've done streams where there was none of this to talk about. And you just got to make it happen. And if any number of these stories had happened during some previous weeks, I would have been very grateful for it. But of course, you're laughing. They're about to gang rape the finance minister of Nepal, and you're laughing. And I'm not sure why this guy was wearing this weird getup. But basically, there's been a U.S.-backed color revolution. I think Brian Berletic, even though he's a bit communist sympathetic, there's U.S. regime change in Nepal. This is yet another U.S. government-funded regime change operation right on China and India's doorsteps, carried out by organizations funded by the U.S. National Endowment for Democracy. Many people mistakenly believe has been dismantled. It is simply hidden and more dangerous than ever. The protests are Gen Z upset over a social media ban. As stated earlier, the ban was because U.S.-based companies refused to follow local laws and insisted on violating, manipulating, and disrupting Nepal's information space. And then if you go to his profile, he has other posts exposing a lot of NGO networks that are obviously operating in Nepal. And look, you got to be pretty stupid if you believe that this was really just a spontaneous Gen Z protest that managed to burn down every government building, kill the prime minister's wife, cause all of the government to completely collapse and flee. And then what has now occurred, and I should probably go back to Telegram to show some of this. Where is it? The big news was the chief of staff, the heads of the military in Nepal are not siding with the Communist Party. Like, they're restoring order. They're trying to, make sure things don't spiral out of control in the streets, but they are not representing or, here. Let's, it's so annoying. I have to keep switching between the two. But if you see here, in the first sort of official announcement of somebody that was trying to restore order, you have Nepal's communist regime has collapsed in the wake of mass civil unrest. Nepalese chief of staff Ashok Raj Sigdel declared his commitment to protect the sovereignty and independence of Nepal. Notably, this is the interesting part, the flag of the Communist Party isn't behind him, as well as other symbols of the now toppled government. Instead, behind him is a portrait of Prithvi Naraya Shah, the first king of United Gorkha and Nepal, in the Nepalese flag. So it's very clear that this was a successful color revolution that was orchestrated. I don't know if there were contacts inside the military or if the military just sees where things are going. But communism is effectively about to end in Nepal, and they're about to restore a monarchist government, which unfortunately this is evidence how not all monarchies are based. And you can't just, as a doctor, you can't just be a doctrinaire monarchist, as it were, because then you'll, I mean, see here, the Nepalese military themselves have begun taking down the pro-Chinese collapsed government's Maoist flags. The headquarters of the former pro-Chinese ruling Maoist party has been burned to the ground. I've seen the videos of that. And where was the big news? Yes. The mayor of Kathmandu, Balendra Shah, suggests he could join the monarchist Rastriya Prajatantra Party and run for prime minister on a pro-protester, pro-monarchist platform in a move that could place the very existence of Nepal as a communist-dominated republic in check, which, this is a big development. I mean, Nepal is right on the Tibetan border with China. It's right there, obviously, in the Himalayas with India, and Trump and the West are not happy with India right now. Maybe this is a message to India, as they are growing closer and closer with Russia and China. We could also talk about this, of course. There's more Israeli drone strikes on Greta Thunberg's flotilla convoy that everyone is vociferously trying to deny. But $10 more from Alan Wong, spontaneous Gen Z super chat. Thank you. Yes, I believe this is an authentic Gen Z super chat. Got $5 from Gabrielle. Howdy, Gabby. In your opinion, is this bombing Israel's attempt to eliminate any need for negotiation? Will this provoke Qatar to war? Qatar won't necessarily be provoked into war, but it definitely, I mean, the fact that this comes right after the UAE condemned Israel for about to annex the West Bank, we have the UN General Assembly approaching where Saudi Arabia and France are rallying everybody to recognize Palestine. This is definitely going to, if any, it might strengthen Qatar's resolve to support Hamas even more if it does. The problem is Qatar is entirely a puppet of the United States. If anything, the most impact it will have is if this actually did piss off the United States, and this isn't just more kayfabe on behalf of Trump and his Zionist cabinet, then there's a chance that, the Israelis will be forced to potentially settle for something less desirable in Lebanon. Maybe they'll have to tone back their rhetoric. It's very obvious that they're going to annex the West Bank, though, and Trump supports annexation of the West Bank. So I don't know if this is an attempt. I mean, maybe that is what it is. Israel could be trying to push everything so far to where everyone just throws up their hands and says, let's just support a full, let's just go to war for Israel against all their enemies in the region. Or, Israel really is just trying to, they're trying to completely eliminate Hamas, and they realize that they have to start striking these other countries. And I think I'm going to use this question to go to sort of the biggest development, I think, in the World War now mindset when it comes to this stuff. I'm going to have to go back to Twitter. Sorry for all the switching. It's a big news evening. And I'm already super stressed out this week for all sorts of stuff. So keep me in your prayers, everybody. It's, I am out here, as it were. We're here. This is a top Israeli, political historian, very well connected with Netanyahu. Today, Qatar, and tomorrow, Turkey. Israel fights terrorism. And of course, here you see Erdogan meeting with top Hamas officials, Muslim Brotherhood officials. And my commentary, things are progressing exactly as predicted on World War Now. As Israel and Turkey clash in Syria, Israel will begin targeting Hamas across Anatolia. They will also use soft power tactics and asymmetrical warfare to destabilize Turkey and foment more protests against the Erdogan regime. It would not surprise me at all to see Ekrem Imamoglu empowered in Ankara with U.S.-Israeli assistance. Watch closely. You can clip that for sure. Clip that. In a year, we'll go back and see if I'm an imbecile or not. And if Erdogan is still in power in a year, it's not that I would be surprised, but things would have had to have developed in a very specific way for me to not be surprised that has happened. Let's put it that way. But the other videos, they apparently threw this guy in the river. I don't know if I don't think they killed him or anything. I think he's safe, so it's okay. But unfortunately, the prime minister's wife, she was in their house when it burned down, which is awful. I don't think she deserved that. But sorry, I'm just keeping abreast of Telegram to see any latest breaking news from the Ukraine-Poland situation. I haven't seen anything confirming that it's fake news yet. Hold on, let me check Intel Slava. I mean, in theory, if this was real, it would be kind of quiet right now, but who knows? Obviously, Russia. I mean, Trump was already getting mad at. I mean, Trump said he's about to do secondary sanctions on Russia. They're already frustrated. I don't know why the Russians would. I'll be honest. I don't know why the Russians would suddenly attack Poland. If they wanted to actually disrupt supply lines into Western Ukraine, I was advocating that a long time ago. You could have justified that ages ago. It's not like anything's really changed. unless something behind the scene is happening that I'm completely unaware of. Maybe we'll have to have George McMillan back on the show to discuss this. Here we have says here Warsaw's airspace has reopened. Passenger flights are approaching the capital's airports. So it seems that the alert situation in Poland is dying down. Obviously, if there was a drone strike, it's not ongoing. There's not an ongoing offensive into Poland. The Belarusian troops and Air Force are not attacking Poland. That's obviously not happening. But we are going to see if this was this a Russian attack on equipment that was about to enter Ukraine? Was this a Russian attack as a show of force against Poland and NATO? Was this a mistake, or was this some kind of I don't know? Was this some kind of? I mean, there's big Belarusian Russian military exercises coming up in 3 days, so all sorts of things could be happening right now. And I think this Qatari airstrike, maybe this was all it was. I mean, maybe this was mostly a warning to Turkey, because obviously Qatar in and of itself, outside of, it's protected by the U.S., which means that the fact that they house 199, praying for safe travels on your trip. God bless. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you as well. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope, oh boy, the, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But the situation, obviously, there was even reports of drones operating over Moldova, and I'm going to Moldova soon, so I'm hoping things don't get too crazy there, so I can still have a good pilgrimage and see a lot of the beautiful Orthodox sites there. I guess we'll have to talk about Irina in a second, which is just, I mean, I don't know what else I can say that hasn't already been said. I've given my takes here, if you can see all of that, but everyone needs to be sure to check out our recent Q&A episode, obviously from last week, really good. Ether Hour episode, very good content. But as far as the, let's see, front page anti-war, if this is saying anything. Let's actually read the article about the airstrike here. The Israeli military launched airstrikes in Doha, Qatar on Tuesday in an attempt to target Hamas political leadership, marking a major Israeli escalation in the region that dims any hope of a ceasefire in Gaza. A source told Al Jazeera that the attack occurred while Hamas officials were gathered to discuss a ceasefire proposal from the U.S. Suhail al-Hindi, a member of Hamas's political bureau, said that Hamas's leadership survived the attack, while the son of acting Hamas political bureau chief Khalil al-Hayya was killed, along with several of his aides. Qatar's interior ministry said that a Qatari security officer was also killed in the attack. Hamas later issued a statement that said none of its political leaders were killed in the attack. It said a total of 6 people were killed, including al-Hayya's son, 4 office staff, and the Qatari officer. According to Israeli media, Israeli warplanes dropped more than 10 bombs on a residential building where Israel believed Hamas leaders were gathering, an area of Doha near schools and embassies. Qatar has hosted a Hamas office since 2012, a step it took at the request of the United States. Obviously, this is sort of, in many ways, you have to question how legitimate of a resistance Hamas is when it exists in a political sense at the behest of the United States. But it says here, sources told Middle East Eye President Trump blessed the attack on Qatar, which is a major non-NATO ally of the United States and hosts about 10,000 U.S. troops. Although U.S. officials speaking to other media outlets claimed that the U.S. was notified while Israeli warplanes were in the air. I think that's what Trump said. White House Secretary Caroline Leavitt later commented on the attack, saying it doesn't advance U.S. and Israeli goals, while also backing the idea of targeting Hamas officials. The Trump administration was notified by the United States military that Israel was attacking Hamas, which very unfortunately was located in a section of Doha, the capital of Qatar, she said. Unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation, close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. So they can never just condemn Israel. Well, and they notice how the United States can never release a statement condemning Israel without throwing up some whataboutism. She said that Trump believes this unfortunate incident could serve as an opportunity for peace. Israeli Prime Minister claimed the attack was a wholly independent Israeli operation. Israel initiated it, Israel conducted it, and Israel takes full responsibility. Trump recently issued a statement demanding Hamas accept his ceasefire proposal, which he said was his last warning for the group. Hamas responded to Trump's statement by saying it was ready to immediately enter negotiations. The proposal the U.S. put forward called for Hamas to release all remaining hostages. Blah, 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 blah. The attack on Doha also has implications for the U.S. relationship with its Gulf Arab allies, though the fact that Israeli warplanes would have had to use Arab airspace to launch the airstrike suggests there may have been some cooperation. Qatar said it condemned in the strongest terms the cowardly Israeli attack and said it was a blatant violation of all international laws and norms. The state of Qatar affirms that it will not tolerate the reckless Israeli behavior and its continued tampering with regional security, as well as any action targeting its security and sovereignty, the Qatari foreign minister said. So, obviously, the situation here is, I mean, the U.S. isn't going to actually do anything. The question is will the people of Qatar pressure them to do something, and then will the U.S. stop Qatar from taking that action? Oh boy. As of 8:07 p.m., another UAV is reportedly headed toward Poland via Volyn. So I'll be sharing that on the Telegram. If you want to, you can always follow along on the Telegram, folks. You can pull it up live to see what I'm looking at here. Of course, this same week, Israel ordered the full evacuation of Gaza City, which obviously includes the Christian corridor and Al Zaytun. I think the Christians are going to be staying, so we have to pray for them because the Israelis are probably just going to try to kill all of them. So pray for them, pray for everybody there. It's at Most Holy Family Catholic Church, at St. Porphyrios Church, at the remnants of the Baptist hospital there that I know has been bombed multiple times. You got to pray for those people because Israel, they don't bomb them. I'm sure some rogue, similar type people that tried to blow up the cross on the church with their tank will go in and just massacre them because that's how Jews roll. Apparently, temporary restrictions have been imposed at the Nizhny Novgorod airport in Russia. And we have here, when it comes to the West Bank issue, Israel Smotrich says West Bank villages should be destroyed like Gaza cities in Gaza after Jerusalem shooting. That's the other thing. This attack on Hamas in Qatar came right after Hamas took credit for the terrorist attacks in Jerusalem. So someone says, YouTube is not letting me super chat. Do you have Streamlabs? I unfortunately don't. At some point, I need to set up a Streamlabs or an Entropy so people can give, and YouTube doesn't take 30%. But here we see Bezalel Smotrich said on Monday that villages in the Israeli-occupied West Bank should look like cities in Gaza that have been reduced to rubble in response to the shooting at a bus stop in Jerusalem that killed 6 Israelis. Smotrich, a West Bank settler himself who recently proposed a plan to annex 82% of the Palestinian territory, said that the Palestinian Authority must disappear from the map, even though after the attack, the PA President Mahmoud Abbas condemned any targeting of Palestinian and Israeli civilians and denounced all forms of violence and terrorism regardless of their source. The state of Israel cannot accept a Palestinian state, cannot accept a Palestinian Authority that raises and educates its children to murder Jews. The Palestinian Authority must disappear from the map. Which again, the Palestinian Authority and Hamas are literal enemies. They fight each other and go to war with each other. Yet it doesn't matter, which shows you that any kind of sectarianism within Lebanon, Palestine, Syria, you need to put that aside and unite against the real enemy, which is Israel. But we got Josh Schmidt in chat. Real World War Now, Patriot. Who upworlding they war are in, and it's real. I mean, this is a real World War Now evening. Fog of war is in full effect. Fog of InfoWar, which was last week's show, would be more appropriate for this evening. But, I had to make last week seem a little exciting because nothing was happening. So, yeah, we're getting more reports about Warsaw's airspace reopening. I'm going to see if anti-war has anything to say about these latest developments in Russia and Poland. Obviously, today as well. I mean, so much of this stuff I could have talked about. We could record World War Now right now, and it'd already be a full week. Iran and the IAEA came to a deal. The IAEA will now be allowed inside of all of the Iranian nuclear sites. Apparently, the Iranians also gave Grossi and the IAEA the location of their enriched uranium, which is very big. And, let's just say if we see any Israeli strikes that do destroy or hit Iran's enriched uranium, we would know that the IAEA is leaking and is very much in bed with the Israelis. So I'm assuming that probably won't happen. But as all these new developments in Poland come and Trump threatens secondary sanctions on Russia, the headline here is Russia brushes off threats of new U.S. and EU sanctions. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so thirsty and I don't have any water here right next to me. I need to go grab something. So I'm trying to find some kind of video that I can put on for you people that can entertain everybody. Well, you know what? We'll watch. You can watch.
Strange. Until you should the Colosseum in Rome pay reparations to Israel? Now that might sound strange until you look across the way at the Arch of Titus, built to honor the Roman general who crushed a Jewish revolt in the year 70 in Judea. On the arch is a carving showing Roman soldiers carrying treasures taken from Jerusalem and the temple, the holiest site in Judaism. Titus's father, the Emperor Vespasian, used gold and silver plundered from the Jewish temple to finance a grand arena built to celebrate the victory over Judea, the Colosseum. Thousands of Jewish prisoners were forced into slave labor, quarrying stone, transporting materials, and building the structure itself. 65 years later, Rome would finish what Vespasian had started. In 135, another emperor, Hadrian, crushed yet another Jewish revolt and tried to forever sever the Jewish connection to the Jewish homeland. Rome renamed Judea to Syria-Palestina, and for many people today, Hadrian's ruse still works. And so, for many, the Colosseum stands as a monument to ancient suffering, stolen heritage, and a stolen homeland. As a growing narrative claims that Jews have no historical connection to Israel, this history matters more than ever. Reparations wouldn't be about money. They'd represent an acknowledgement of an ancient injustice whose consequences continue to reverberate today, affecting perceptions, narratives, and battlefields. History isn't always comfortable, but acknowledging it is crucial.
Yeah. Sorry you all had to watch that, but I knew people I can't do nothing on the screen or else people will start to...
Should the Colosseum in Rome...
No, the answer is no. The question is also, who do they want to pay these reparations? So they're talking about how would the Roman Empire in Italy is not a thing anymore. Like, how would that, are they going to be extorting, Russia, Greece, the Vatican? What are they doing here? 5 euros from I Panini has full footage of the subway stabbing been released. Ripped to the naive lady. She was safer in a war zone than in a Western public transport. Look, I'm not going to call her naive or anything. She didn't deserve what happened to her. She should have been able to go on that bus. And she's from Ukraine. There's no black people in Ukraine. You don't know what we know here in America, that you don't go on the bus or the light rail and sit next to all the black people. Like, she was 23 years old from a white country. Why she shouldn't have had to deal with that. And that country shouldn't be at war anyway. The reason she had to leave and the reason the country is at war because our Jewish elites in this country overthrew the legitimately elected Ukrainian government in 2014 and then went to war against the Donbass separatists. So the only people to blame here are black people and Jewish people. We can't do as much as I'm ready to criticize women and white women, we can't be blaming women for what just went down, because all she did was sit down on a train. And I guess if we're going to hop right into that, yes, I have seen effectively the full video that just blurs the actual moment he stabs her neck. I don't want to show it on the stream. We don't need to watch it. But we can't get mad at black people, which is what everyone should be. And this is, I said, white people have had enough of the mass delusion of lies. Blacks must be reined in. And I just made this point, which the biggest lie believed in by millions of Americans is that black people somehow live in fear of anything and behave better or avoid places to avoid consequences or something. Nothing could be further from the truth. The only people in this country that have to avoid certain parts of the world or the country or the city that they live in to not face certain consequences are white people or Asians or other people that are regularly victimized by black people. Maybe black people sometimes do that as well, but it's to avoid being victimized by other black people. And that is the situation. Yes, please like the stream, whether you're watching on Substack, X, YouTube, like and share the stream. It's really going to help us out. All super chats are obviously also greatly appreciated. The good news about the situation, and there's no good news. It's obviously horrible. We wish we could go back in time and protect this poor girl, but the news is it seems the Trump administration and Trump himself is taking it seriously. They're actually, showing pictures of the white girl and the black girl, which give that visceral reaction to people. They see a beautiful white girl killed by a demented, ugly freak that everyone can tell is dangerous just by looking at his face. It really hammers the point home. And it seems that the feds are intervening with federal charges on this guy because he had a rap sheet of like 14 arrests and was still on the street. So they're, I think citing judicial incompetence. And they are, I think they're going to try to seek the federal death penalty for this guy, which is what we should have. And I think you should hang this guy on like the White House lawn or on like the reflecting pool in front of the Lincoln Memorial or the Washington Monument or something like that, and then just leave him there to rot and let the crows eat him as a message. I mean, Washington, D.C. is like 90% black city, so you'd be sending the message to like the right people. And I think it's an important message that needs to be heard, because obviously they're not afraid. Like, these people are not afraid to just kill. Like, they're like, look, maybe they're like, look, I'll do 30 years. I'll do 20 years. I'll go in prison and get some booty and be gay because I'm gay anyway. It'll be a good time with the boys in prison. But They need to know that if you kill someone, you will be killed. That if you kill someone, you are going to be, within a year, are going to be sentenced to death and die. Like, that's just how it's going to happen. And it only takes a few of these cases for the message to start getting hammered home and people to be less willing to do that. And short of something like that, the next step we need to take is, I see Arvol talking about this more return to the land stuff. It's clear that we need to use these cases when these things happen politically and rhetorically to get us towards something close to like regaining freedom of association within this country, because it's only going to be when we can make communities and cities where we're able to exclude these people that we're going to see this get better. Because look, I mean, people are talking, there's all sorts of discourse that is spun up around this, right? I'm not going to, it's tough to give an original take because it's what everybody's talking about. Everyone's coming up with new creative ways to kill this guy. Everyone's coming up with creative ways to prosecute him fully. Everyone's coming up with new creative ways to expand this to get new super predators. That's all well and good. One of the things people are also talking about is the fact that, you know, this happened on public transportation. A lot of this stuff, I mean, everyone remembers the Daniel Penny situation, a lot of these other clips that come out, all the women getting pushed in front of the subway on New York. Public transportation is one of the main places where white people and black people are sort of forced to interact. And looking at a place like Charlotte, this is in the city in the South. And when you get to the South, that's where most of the black population of this country resides. And a lot of times people shit on these Republican states and these southern states. They're like, these cities are not walkable. These cities have no infrastructure. These are terrible places. No one wants to live here. That's why I'm moving to Boston. I'm moving to New York. I'm moving to Chicago so I can ride the subway. And it's a great walkable city. And there's all this stuff. Well, Chicago's a hellhole because of you know who. And look at what happened. Charlotte's one of the only southern cities with real infrastructure that has light rail, that actually has public transportation that people regularly ride. And look what happens on it. A random girl gets stabbed for literally no reason by a demented black freak. And people want to say, like, oh, it's because racism caused people to build the highways and not make accessible public transport. No, it's the exact opposite. People weren't racist enough. So now we can't have nice things. So now we can't have trains. Now we can't build a light rail. Now we can't have a subway system. Now we can't have a trolley in the city. Now we can't have walkable cities. We can't have people that live on the ground level of the downtown city because people would break into their house, drag them outside, and kill them. You saw that lady get executed on the streets of Philadelphia. What was it, 4 days after this case? Jared Taylor was posting about this. Let's find the tweet. There's been outrage over the case of Irina Zarutska from Ukraine, slashed to death on a tram in North Carolina. Did you know about 17-year-old Caitlin Strait of Louisiana, shot to death unprovoked on the highway just 4 days later? How much more savagery will we tolerate? So this girl was brutally shot to death for no reason by this guy. But you didn't need me to show you the picture to know that someone that looked like this guy was the person that randomly shot someone that looked like this on the highway. You already knew that's what it looked like because everyone knows what it looked like. Everyone knows that's what this is. Everyone knows someone that's been victimized by blacks if you haven't yourself been victimized by blacks. And we're getting sick of it. The Saxon is beginning to hate. And if the government and the people that control the monopoly on violence don't properly address the very, very, very legitimate concerns that the white majority in this country currently has, then it's going to get very, very ugly. And no one is going to be able to morally condemn what comes next because they allowed it to get to that point, even if some pretty egregious things happen. Because some prophecies say that in Europe and some of these places, the backlash against some of these immigrants and these Africans and these characters, it's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal because it was repressed for so long. Here was my take on Qatar. Qatar happily helped overthrow Assad and has funded Islamic separatism in non-enemy countries on behalf of the United States. Now they will just allow the U.S. and Israel to bomb them. These Islamic countries are a joke. If Qataris don't rise up, then they're beyond damned. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm all over the place. We're talking about Qatar and Israel. We're breaking news about Russia and Poland. I'm going on another rant about race in America. It's crazy. Got another 2 Russian drones have crossed into Poland from Ukrainian airspace. 3+ Ukrainian Tu-95 MS bombers have taken off. Crazy, crazy evening, folks. I mean, I could probably stay on forever just covering what's going on, but I have a lot of stuff to do this week before I fly over to the continent. But yes, indeed. Someone said they could hear his voice as you read that. I'm hoping you're talking about Jared Taylor. Yeah, I don't want to play the video. Dimitri has a take. I obviously gave my take. We're 41 minutes in here, everybody. I want to find some. The problem with I want to show the Telegram because that's where all the news breaks, but I can't. Excuse me. I can't play Telegram videos full screen or with sound. But nonetheless, I think we'll switch over to that for now. Share screen, window, Telegram, boom. I just want to find some of that footage from. Yeah, here we go. This is from Kathmandu, Nepal. This is the main government building. This is what it looks like after it got stormed, completely burned down. This is what the Democrats want you to think happened to the Capitol on January 6th. But this was real. I mean, this was, look, a lot of things about Nepal that people just don't understand. One, I'll give them this. There's no way that Nepal is the lowest IQ country in the world. That doesn't make any sense. On all these official things, the average IQ in Nepal is like 42. It's like lower than like Equatorial Guinea. It's lower than like Swaziland. It's lower than like all these places, Congo, all this stuff. It doesn't make any sense. Because you see some of these, like they have like militarized police, like they have an actual party, they have a communist party that's been ruling for a long time. I'm not saying these people are smart, but they've probably got an average IQ somewhere in the high 60s or low 70s at the very least. And then there's just no way that something like this that ultimately also kills the wife of the prime minister, and they throw the finance minister into the river, and now the military is openly defacing the communist symbols and is siding with the monarchists. That's a US-backed operation. There's no way that that level of commitment to a single party, to a single political vision in the midst of something that was supposedly erupting over social media bans leads to something like this. So this shows you the power of US soft power. You've got to have this image blazed into your head. This is what every world leader knows could happen to them if they step to the United States too strongly. So, remember this before you, judge your neighborhood Western puppet for being said Western puppet. Because, would you want your wife to burn down in a protest that you didn't know anything was coming by your supposed ally? I don't think so. This video is just so funny. Why are they about to rape him? What did he do? I guess he probably did some bad shit. He's a communist, but obviously they're communist in the sense that they're allied with China. Okay, this was big. Qatar has announced the suspension of mediation efforts between Hamas and Israel till further. Yeah, no shit. If you didn't do that, we'd be like, what are we even doing here? Obviously, there's all this job numbers nonsense. Yeah, now we're just getting back into the news from earlier today. But going to be keeping tabs on things. One of the big discourses happening right now with the Irina stabbing video is that there were 5 black people sitting around her, and none of them helped her at all after she got stabbed. None of them comforted her as she died or bled out. She just died in a foreign land surrounded by foreign faces that don't even care, that don't even think you view as human. You hear all about white supremacy, ethno-narcissism. It's all projection. Anything about racial supremacy, lack of empathy for other races, that's all black people. It's all black people. The only people that at a civilizational level have ever shown empathy for other races are Europeans. And frankly, in my opinion, if you're a minority and you walk around with anything other than gratitude for white people for that, you're just scum. Like, you're just the lowest of the low type person. And you're like a bioweapon. Like, you are just walking around as a perpetual weapon for the Jews. Like, it doesn't matter how smart you are. If you're some uppity, well-behaving brother, maybe you've got a 107 IQ and you got into law school and you've got a fucking degree that you got it because of affirmative action. If you walk around with that chip on your shoulder and that attitude, you're no different. You're no different than Ladarius or whatever the hell this retard's name is. You're no different than this guy. Whoops. Let's switch the screen share here. We're going off. You're no different than this guy. It doesn't matter if you've got some highfalutin degree or you know how to wear a suit or you've bought dress shoes once in your life, or maybe you don't wash your chicken and you know how to replace the batteries in your smoke detector. Doesn't matter. If you walk around with this attitude that the white man owes you anything and that you're somehow a victim of anything and that you're somehow put upon for living in the greatest country ever, then you're this guy. You're just this guy. And it's only a matter of time before you probably snap and kill some poor white person. Because that's what that attitude leads to, right? If that's true, if your worldview is correct, and you're always every day going through life being stochastically harmed by like white privilege and white supremacy and like whiteness and all these things that have been hammered into everyone's head for the past 30 years, then why shouldn't you kill someone? Why shouldn't you go around? There's that video going around of a black guy just asked what happens. He says the only way the black people are going to be liberated in the way that black people want is bodies. He said just white bodies on the ground. And that's what they think. And it's time to stop pretending like that's not what they think and accept that they're just not that into you. Like, I get that you're white and you probably listen to rap and you think black people are real cool and you got that one black friend you grew up with and everything. But most black people, they're just not that into you, man. They don't really care about you. They don't want to be around you. So why should we pretend we want to be around them, right? Like I don't want to get stabbed on the subway. Like, I've had my fair shares of experiences on the subway. I used to live in New York City. I've been personally victimized by black people, physically, punched, spit on. That's all gone on, as well as just the verbal abuse, witnessing women around me being uncomfortable, everybody wanting to intervene, but the guy hasn't gotten physical enough yet to justify getting physical first. So you all just have to sit there while some crazy black person screams and threatens people. It's just a horrible way to live. And we just don't. And like, people are just starting to realize that you don't have to live that way. You just don't have to. And it means we're just going to have to start arresting these people. And we're going to have to start putting people in prison when they're 12, 13, 14 years old forever. And, I'm not endorsing this, but people say, there's a tweet that says at a certain level, maybe certain black people should start in prison and prove that they have earned the right to get out. And that's basically what we have to do, starting with juveniles. If you're a repeat offender, if you're somebody that age 11, 12, 13 is raping people, you're hurting animals, you're sticking up liquor stores, you're playing with guns, you're killing people, shooting people, gang banging, it's just over for you. Especially if we can do some basic analysis. Okay, this person comes from a very long line of criminals. They come from a dangerous genetic line. You could say, we'll just stop this right here before they can reproduce, before they can have a million other little gremlins running around with 13 baby mamas. We'll just put them in prison. And maybe if we're lucky, they'll get in a fight in prison and kill someone, and then we can give them the death penalty so we can stop being on the taxpayer's dollar. Because that's the problem, is how many of these guys are just clogging up the system, on a 40-year charge or on a life sentence, eating up $1 bajillion, eating up lawyers' fees and public defender taxpayer dollars every year because they appeal the crime they were obviously guilty of. Freaking unlimited appeal system is ridiculous as well. So the stream will probably get banned. I've been going a little hard on our brothers, on the African American community, my fellow Americans. E-War Mapping, $5. Hello, Conrad. Thanks for the coverage tonight. What do you think the chances are that Israel actually assassinates Erdogan? Are they actually at odds? I don't think Erdogan and Israel are as at odds as maybe it might seem on the surface, but it doesn't matter how at odds they are or not. Erdogan obviously is trying to play multiple geopolitical blocks and sides off against each other. And if Israel thinks they can get somebody that's going to more calmly toe the Western line, especially when it comes to Israel, they're going to happily overthrow the guy. And he's already old. He's already on his way out politically. The climate is completely ripe for a color revolution. He's an old geriatric politician who's failed to properly appoint and anoint a obvious successor. You have the most popular political oppositionary figure in 15 years, in Ekrem Imamoglu, who's been effectively unjustly imprisoned by Erdogan. You have monthly massive protests. Some of the big protests occurred recently. Now you've got terrorist attacks and false flags, all on top of what's going on in Syria. It won't even take that much of an Israeli push. If the U.S. is down, and especially as things are developing with Russia, if the U.S. wants to get someone in Turkey that's willing to confront Russia in the Black Sea with NATO forces, and that's willing, again, as the prophecies say, if they get somebody that's willing to close the Bosphorus and Dardanelles Straits to Russian ships and close off the Sea of Marmara, the U.S. will happily go along with it. So if you get the U.S. and Israel on board, who's standing in the way? The Greeks always want to disrupt Israel. So, I mean, Turkey. So if the U.S. and Israel want it, and Russia is in no position to intervene, especially, I mean, Russia's ambivalent on Erdogan. They could go either way. And I don't think they have the resources to help him out either. So if the U.S. and Israel really come to that conclusion and someone behind the scenes gives the green light, it'll happen in a few hours, I'm convinced. I mean, you could have millions of people in the streets of Ankara, Istanbul, all these other places, and you could have all sorts of propaganda whipped up. So I think it's any day that could happen. And I'm not saying it's going to happen this week, tomorrow, even this month, but I do believe it will happen. Let's just read this latest Elon Musk tweet. Why is white always in lowercase but black in uppercase in New York Times? The New York Times is deliberate, precise, and comprehensive in its anti-white racism. Elon Musk has been going pretty hard for the white man recently. What does this say? I'm offering $500,000 in 10K grants to paint murals of the face of Irina in prominent U.S. cities. Thank you, person with an Irish name that I don't know how to pronounce. Yeah, I mean, it's just all about Irina today. I mean, these were some of the faces of the people that stood by as she got stabbed. To them, they probably thought it was pretty cool. They're like, oh, cool, taking out another white devil. That's pretty much the attitude we're in right now. Oh boy, we got some more Alex Karp. There's just too much content. Oh my gosh. Can the content come out in a more managed way? Like, why is everything happening right now? Like, this stream is all over the place. It's supposed to be I got to change the title, man. There's no way this can continue to be called Israel Strikes Qatar. That's not all that this is. You know what? We're just going to leave it. We do talk about that. Ah, yes. We'll get back on subject in that regard. Here we go. Here are the videos. Initial reports indicate the delegation survived the strike. Here we have the...
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Sana hindi pumani yung kotse. Oh my God!
Well, you know, the people of Qatar for 5 seconds felt like what the people of Gaza feel like. I felt like for the past 2 years.
هذه كلها مبانيك هذا كله مجمع.
So yeah, pretty crazy. I woke up and saw that and was like, no way.
هذه كلها مبانيك هذا كله مجمع هذا
Here we have something from military strategist on Telegram. Tunisian Nouveau Air flight from St. Petersburg to Monastery issued an emergency signal while over Poland is now flying toward an unknown destination. I have no idea what that would even begin to mean, keeping it 100% with you guys. So all this is happening where the we're getting these supposed rumors that these drones are hitting these ships, but I don't have any confirmation on where those are supposedly coming from. But here, additional drones reported to be crossing into northern Ukraine from Belarus near Chernobyl, headed west towards Galicia and Poland. Man, are the Belarusians getting involved against the Poles? Is that what this is going to be framed as? You know, Russia didn't attack Poland, but Belarus did. I mean, I'm all in on Belarus against Poland in a lot of ways, so I guess bring it on. But this is wild. So much is happening. And I don't want to like disrupt everybody with just browsing the timeline, but I mean, I guess we're seeing some racism for sure. There's gonna be a lot of racism on the timeline because that's what people are feeling. But any more super chats, if people want to send them in, I'm answering questions. I'm talking about stuff. I'm trying to not miss too much, but I feel like I'm like not being able to focus on enough things because everything is going on. Keith Woods, to anyone saying that people in the carriage didn't react because they were scared. In the full version of the video, no one makes any contact with Irina Zaritska until a full 90 seconds after her stabbing, as her blood poured down the carriage. Sickening. Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to see the blood starts to pool really bad later in the video, and it's just super depressing. Here we have another one. Swifty college co-ed was executed as she slept by career criminal who broke in and went on shopping spree with her credit cards. So yeah, this guy, he broke in and he could have just stolen her stuff. She was sleeping, right? He could have just taken her stuff and left. He wouldn't have gotten caught. He probably would have gotten caught way less fast because this girl would have been murdered. But no, he was like, damn, white bitch, I'm going to give you what you deserve. Pop, pop. And he just shot her and just committed cold-blooded murder for no other reason than, I mean, why else would he do it besides racial hatred? Like what other motivation would someone that looks like this have for turning a basic robbery into a murder when robbing someone that looks like this? Try to think of what motivation it would be besides sheer racial hatred that stems from the fact that he knows that he's not at the same level as somebody that is like this. Let's put it that way. I'm trying. Watching her cry alone with her hands holding her face is one of the saddest things I've ever seen. Yeah, this is radicalizing a lot of people. Auburn, Alabama, March 2008. Her name is Lauren Burke. Kidnapped and murdered by a black career criminal with an IQ of 86. So his attorneys argued he had poor judgment. Yeah, I'm sorry, if you're retarded or like addicted to drugs, that should be more of a reason to like kill you faster. Like if you have a testable IQ of like 86 or like 79 and you do something like this, we're like, okay, great. There's not a whole lot going on up there. He's not really going to even be that afraid of death because he probably can't even comprehend that, because he probably can't even comprehend, pretty much basic passage of time, that like something that's real now is even going to be the same in like a few minutes. So just kill them. Like they're not even going to know the difference. Like they were barely even functioning. So, oh yeah, of course we remember Cannon Hinnant. Who was kidnapped and was just randomly murdered by his black neighbor. Yeah, here's some about the Nepal protests. We've got Brian Berletic, fake NGO funded by U.S. corporations led Nepal Gen Z riots. Western media reports Hami Nepal organized the protests that burned Nepal down and toppled the government. Hami Nepal boasts of connections to NED-funded projects like the anti-China Free Tibet campaign, and has partnered with U.S. corporations like Coca-Cola. The U.S. is on a global murder and regime change spree in an attempt to shock the world back under its unipolar order. Nations failing to secure their information space from foreign social media platforms and their political space from foreign-funded opposition in the 21st century are like nations without armies or navies in the 20th century. The bottom logo on Hami Nepal's website is the Students for a Free Tibet organization, listed as NED-funded in a 2019 NED disclosure archived here. It is not a coincidence that under every rock turned over, the U.S. government and the large unelected corporate interests driving its policies are found. In Indonesia and Nepal, here in Thailand and Serbia and beyond. The U.S. presides over a modern global empire and uses both its military but also administrative forces to capture and control target nations. So yeah, obviously this is, look, it was a color revolution. This is just where it comes from, the details, because obviously Gen Z people protesting against social media bans could not have done what was just done there. Palantir was denied a contract with the NSA due to its refusal to spy on Americans, per CEO Alex Karp. Yeah, I'll believe that never, personally speaking. Texas officials facing increasing public pressure to release Austin Metcalf footage. If they do that, I mean, we already know it's bad, because if it wasn't, they would have released it already, right? If it showed anything even close to Carmelo Anthony having to defend himself, they would have immediately released the footage. So it must be brutal. I would wager Austin Metcalf walks up to him, you see him talking, maybe Austin Metcalf puts his hand on his shoulder, like, "Ah, man, don't say that," and I can just see him reaching that little freaking gorilla reaching into his bag, and I bet it's terrible, man. They should release it, because if they release that on this type of radicalization, then we might actually see some change. I mean, Fox News is talking about black crime. Fox News is talking about 13 to 60, talking about how everyone only focuses on the white crime rates. So the seas are changing. The times are changing. Yeah, I mean, look, this is radical. This is the image is radicalizing people pretty insanely. Jonathan Kelly, Google average sub-Saharan IQ. Google estimated IQ of Coco the gorilla. The results may shock you. I Panini, doesn't it say in the Bible that other peoples are envious and jealous of us and want to see us bleed out? Well, I don't know what the Bible says about that specifically, but I do know that, you know, in the Roman Empire, people, it's not like everyone was just cool walking around seeing a bunch of black people. As I can't remember what Byzantine general or emperor said it. I know David Erhan posted it. They were trying to negotiate terms with the Muslim army, and they encountered a black general. And the Roman emperor was just like, "Why have you brought this black man to speak me?" And he's like, "Approach gently, black man, for I am dread of your blackness." So it actually is okay to apply basic, I think, light dark symbolism when choosing who to sit next to on a train. That's sort of my perspective. There was over 40,000 people marched for the Feast of the Holy Cross in Moscow. Patriarch Kirill led the protest. Oh, let's see what Van Jones has to say. Let's see what Van Jones has to say about the guy that murdered this woman.
We don't know why that man did what he did. We don't know how to deal with people who were hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people. What happened was horrible. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything except him.
Billions, man. Billions. Maybe even trillions. Because he knows exactly why that guy killed her. Because he's one of them. Van Jones is not that different from that murderer. And he knows that. So when he sees him, he's like, that could have been me. And I know I could have been in a fit of rage. I know I could have been there and wanted to kill that white girl in my black rage. So I'm gonna run cover for him. I'm gonna claim that this, it was some mental illness. He was on drugs. It was no, dude. He was possessed by demons and hated to see beauty. He hated to see what was good. He hated to see something that was good, true, and beautiful, which was a beautiful white girl. And so he killed her. And this dark person, who's dark in many ways, knows that. He empathizes with that. So he runs cover. And that's all there is to it. And if you think there's anything else to it, you're wrong. And I could argue, I could debate, I could beat you into the ground and debate you on it. DeCarlos Brown wasn't crazy. He knew exactly what he was doing and why he was doing it, because he rehearsed his magical get out of trouble words as he was exiting the train. This is the lead. Don't bury it. Oh, is that real? Does he try to claim that he called her the N-word? That's insane. I mean, I'm sorry, but the only way that this kind of thing stops is we all have to start calling them the N-word at a certain level. Because if it's something that they think you can, like, if it's something that everyone just is afraid of, and they can just kill you if you're accused of saying it, and then no one ever says it, and it's this thing that you can just be accused of, then the way to do it is you just got to start. Everyone just has to start using it. It has to just become completely normal, where they can't. The idea that they would act like that just becomes so ridiculous because it's ubiquitously used, and it should be ubiquitously used because that's how people are acting these days. Like that's like look this story. The fact that this guy's justifying it like this. I mean, so many stories. I mean, who knows? 36-year-old black man screamed, "I want all the white people dead," before stabbing 2 white teenage girls. Age 14 and 16 were visiting New York City with their parents and eating at a restaurant on Christmas morning. The fact that these people sat by and did absolutely nothing. I could go on and on and on. I'm literally just going through my For You page right now. We all know a lot of these stories. We all know, but remember, we all still have to care about George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. All these people deserved everything that they got and more. George Floyd was overdosed on fentanyl, and it would have been better if it had happened a decade earlier. Ahmaud Arbery was stealing from a construction site, and the McMichaels did the state and neighborhood a service, and now they're in prison for life, just like Derek Chauvin, who almost died after getting stabbed 76 times. Breonna Taylor was a drug dealer whose boyfriend fired on the police when they were issuing a search warrant. Daryl Brooks ran over a dozen white people in Waukesha. Devin, whatever his name was, that guy that was reaching for a knife and got shot, they protested for him. George Floyd had a $39,000 gold casket and 4 funerals, all while you were forced to be locked inside and people weren't allowed to bury their own dead. Are you paying attention yet? Like, do you understand what's happening? Like, do you realize that you literally are just a second-class citizen and you just accept it because your stupid fucking Jewish education forced you to read To Kill a Mockingbird, Night by Elie Wiesel, and a bunch of other things that convinced you the white people are evil? Are you paying attention yet? Yeah, there's no, like, how bad must this video be since they haven't shown it yet? So true. You mean when people are complicit in the cruel murder of innocents, they should be brought to justice? Wonder why you don't apply that standard to Israel. Oh, piss off already. I'm talking about an issue in America and all you can think about is Israel. It's pathetic. You want America first, you're Israel first, just from a different direction. Yes, this is probably a person. I got that white girl. Yeah, this guy's not insane. Like that. What are they trying to convince this guy's like retarded? Look at his face. And look at the judge that let him out. Thanks to Trump, the case of Irina Zaritsky will now not go away. But everyone knows black men are a plague. Now meet the black woman judge who turned the monster loose, the black woman who nominated the judge, and the black woman who appointed her. Magistrate Teresa Clark turned the killer loose and then forgot about him. Clerk of the Superior Court, Elisa Chin Gary, nominated Clark to be magistrate. Senior resident Superior Court Judge Carla Archie appointed her in 2023. See a pattern somewhere? This is the real story, not the psychotic black bum. And it's true, black people can't govern anything. Let's see. I didn't see this from Trump. I saw the screenshots. Let's see what the president has.
And here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman, a beautiful young girl that never had problems in life, with a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests.
Got to give Trump props there. He showed up the picture. He made sure everyone knows what this was. This was a racially motivated crime by one of our millions of aggrieved black monster super predators that roam these streets. Many of whom have never been convicted of a crime or even arrested, but they still hold the attitude, just waiting for what they feel is the right moment to lash out and strike and kill a white person. So that's where we're at. That's our country. And thankfully, as much as I hate to say it, if this can lead to real change and we can get some real freedom of association wins for white people in this country, and we can get some real tough on crime policies again that arrest some of these absolute monsters, then maybe Irina's death won't have been entirely in vain. But even then, it will never justify what happened. It will never make it right. It doesn't matter. Frankly, we could kill them all and it still wouldn't make it right, because they're not worth the same. Like, none of these criminals are worth like even one hair on the girl like that's head. So that's sort of the situation we're in right now, right? Now let's play some racist video games. No super chats that I can see here. If anyone wants to send any more money for some topics, please feel free to do it. This stream could totally get taken down. So let's prepare for that. Let's check Telegram. Currently, 2 Tu-95s are currently circling the Engels 2 airbase. Strategic bombers departed from Engels 2 Air Base. All right. Seems like things have died down a little bit on the Russo-Polish-Ukrainian front. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Sorry I didn't have Substack chat pulled up. I got home like 5 minutes before I started the stream. So just grateful that we're streaming at all and it's working. But let's hit this daily game. It's been a minute. So, yes. White people. We love to see it. They looked Dutch to me. Tavastas. These are East Baltic varieties. So these are like Slavs and whatnot. Almost perfect, but a 4,500 would have been better for a 5K. But let's move on. Oh boy. See, they look like little island people, but obviously I'm thinking African. I'm consulting chat on this one. What are we thinking, chat? Let me know. I kind of feel South Africa again, but some people seem to be saying Papua. Maybe, I don't know. They look a little too African for that. There are jungles in Africa, my brother. There are jungles there as well, but I do see what you're saying. You know, maybe some Madagascar nonsense going on. I don't know. But I'm gonna go over here. Yeah, middle of the jungle region of Africa. Like I said, it's all good. We'll do the next one. Asians. This got to be like Thai people, right? Because this guy looks like the Asian half of Tiger Woods. Like, make this guy blacker and make his lips a little bit bigger, and he's Tiger Woods. It's okay, Alan. We all can make mistakes. Yeah, these look like, you know, Thai, Laotian, something like that. What? How is that a 3,700? That's nonsense. These are Deutero-Malayids. I guess those are like Malaysians, Vietnamese. That's total nonsense, bro. How's that a 3,700? Yeah, I thought the woman looked Thai as well. Oh boy. See, I want to guess like here. Like like I'm thinking over here. There we go. Guineo-Cameroonian, West African type, shorter skulled counterpart of Guinea-Sids. There we go. First bullseye. Oh boy. These look kind of like snow Asians. Like, my instinct wants me to go like here. We get some Asians in the chat. What about here? Like, is this? Why are we saying Taiwan? I'm not this. I don't think these are not. I don't know about Taiwan here. These are steppier homies. Yeah, see, I agree, snow Asians, but like, are we talking in Mongolia? Are we talking like maybe over in Kazakhstan or in China themselves? Like, what are we thinking? Maybe over here? Boom. I guess those are Gobids. Tungid variety of the vast Central Asian deserts and steppes, the Gobi in southern Siberia. Developed in ancient rock farming nomads, was found in Huns, Avars, and Mongols. Yeah. We did it, Reddit. All right, second half. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Somewhere from around here. Now, are they like Caucasoids or are they Levantine? Yeah, I'm thinking this could be true right here. Yes. Assyroid, Semitic type that unites Armenoid with Arabid features. That's exactly what that looked like. So these are Hittites. Boom. Oh boy. This makes me think of like someone from like an Omani person or something. What are people thinking here? Maybe somewhere, maybe like here. Fertile Crescent. Like Kurds or something. It could be Kurd. Yeah, man, it could be North. Oh, yeah. It could be North African. Assad was whiter than this, first of all, and had lighter eyes. So let's calm down there. But because Assad was Alawite, the woman looks more white than this guy. Yeah, I'm really torn between going like Syria, Iraq, or even going like Morocco. But I'll go here. I had a feeling it was North Africa. Yep. Libya, North African steppe. Got to go with the gut. I got to be trusting my gut. This looks very similar to what happened last time. Dalophalids, coarse chromagniform Nordid variety of Central and Northern Europe, named after the Swedish province of Dalarna in the German region of Westphalia. Typical areas include central Germany, Netherlands, southern Sweden, and Norway, partially even southern Finland. Very based. Yeah, these are my people. Tara T, not to pressure you, but my teen son got an average score of 4,134 with 7 perfect rounds. Yes, he competes through every week. Well, he's probably better than me at this point. I don't know if I've ever gotten 7 perfect rounds. I think the most I ever got was 4 or 5. So, he'll have to go pro if there's ever, because there is GeoGuessr World Cup. If there's ever the EthnoGuessr World Cup, he'll have to compete. But thank you for the $4.99, Tara. Greatly appreciated. This is a family show. We always love having everybody come on. Oh, I feel like I've gotten this one before. Can anyone remember where this one is from? I have no idea. They're too light-skinned for me to even commit to Africa. What are we thinking, folks? Antarctica. I don't know about that. Come on. I've literally gotten these guys exactly before. Does no one else remember what happened on that stream? Angola. Ooh. Okay. At least didn't get a 0. But yeah, these are like those like black Arab hybrids or something. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Ooh, these could even be like Uzbeks or something. These could be anywhere, and literally anywhere in this entire region. Right here in particular. I guess they could be Albania. Ooh. They could be Albanians. This guy looks, frankly, the guy looks a little dark for what they would show for a lot of Albanians on here. Do you know any prophecies on the Chinese other than the 200 million? Well, it says if the Russians return to communism, the Chinese will take Siberia and the Far East. So there's that. All right, we're going to Albania. When it's wrong, you better apologize. Yeah, apology. I'll be waiting for my apology in writing. To be fair, I did not think they were North African either. But yeah, not a bad round. I did pretty well, average of 34.98, 4 perfect rounds. I'm in the top 20% of players, so not too bad. Good round. Let's check the news. Any developments? Operational command of the Polish Armed Forces says that Russian armed forces fired Russian drones which have crossed into Poland again. All right, this seems to be a very legitimate source too. Polish Armed Forces orders residents in eastern Poland to shelter in place, who emphasize that military operation is ongoing, adding the most affected areas are Podlaski, Mazowiecki, Lubelski. Let's get this on the screen. Holy guacamole. Bada bing, bada boom. Right here. And along the border with Belarus and Ukraine. And now we've got Venezuela news. Unprecedented event near Venezuela coast. Authorities report unusual activity off the coast of Venezuela. Observers are monitoring the situation as it unfolds. U.S. military helicopter flew over in front of Maqueta Airport. Unofficial sources confirmed the Venezuelan authorities were notified. Secretary of War warned from the Iwo Jima that Nicolas Maduro has been in the business for a long time and that the U.S. is ready to intercept and destroy the narco-terrorists, sell drugs. All right. We can't do a whole diversion on Venezuela right now. But either way, I think that's a good time to probably start ending the show. We got some confirmation that it appears that the strikes and these drones entering Poland are confirmed from official U.S. military source. So keep everything in your prayers. World War now is very much in full effect. World War III is here. Trotix, I'm not going to put, I see what you're asking. If you want if you go back and watch some of the Q&A episodes, we have a few people ask questions about that, and I can't remember which Q&A. Maybe it's Q&A 11 or 12 or maybe 9. I give a pretty detailed answer on that topic. So that's the kind of question that if you want me to answer it on the stream, it should be not even just a super chat. It should be a bigger super chat, and I really honestly can't even answer it on the stream. So I answer it for paid subscribers behind the paywall on Substack. Watch the Q&A episodes. It's in the past 5 or 6 episodes of the Q&As. You can find my answer on that topic. So there's that. If anyone has any more super chats, I would greatly appreciate it. I'll stay live for a few more moments. Greatly appreciate it. Obviously, thanks to Jonathan Kelly, Alan Wong, Josephine Gabrielle, I Panini, and Tara T, and eWar Mapping for all of your super chats. I'm going to keep all of this up. I'm going to actually briefly check the Substack stream, see if I've missed any crazy drama or anything going on. Hello. Doesn't look like there's been many chats. Everyone's just watching. Good to see. So I'm going to ask, are the prophecies addressed in the episode with Stephen Sue? No, we don't really talk about many prophecies. I think I mentioned them briefly, but we're pretty dead focused on the Chinese issue. We do talk about China as a civilization state, though, and Chinese monarchism, Chinese political thought, and all of that. So it's a very, very ether hour coded episode. So don't hesitate to check that out. If that's what everyone's curious about, let's head on over. Problem is, it's going to show the stream. There we go. But it's bing, boom, 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 boom. Obviously, this is what it looks like when we're streaming. You can see me, sort of inception is happening. But if you go to the Ether Hour tab, you get access to everything. If you get behind the paywall, you get full access to the full version of all of these episodes. Some really incredible content. Our most recent Q&A economic analysis episode, Steve Sue episode about China, Jeffrey Epstein episode, South America episode with Jose Nino, fantastic discussion about Khazaria with David Patrick Harry, discussion with the right-wing patriot Ivan Vorobyevsky, deep geopolitical discussion. This one's a video with George McMillan, big prophecy update a few weeks back with Eschaton Vigil, episode about St. Nikiforos Phokos with Gregory Hears, us discussing the book Tsarist Russia and Great. I mean, this is unparalleled content, guys. I'm sorry, but like if you're an Orthodox Christian, if you're based, and this is your content, I mean, look, we got Father John Whiteford talking about Sister Vasa. We got a girl from Syria, explicitly from Syria, talking to us about Assad, whose dad was in Assad's military, discussing what went down there. We've got Dave Riley in an episode right before the Pope was elected, discussing the SSPX and papal conclaves. Cameron McGregor coming on to discuss economic collapse. Anthony of Westgate talking about the influence of Talmudry and Judaism on the Protestant Reformation. Jay Dyer talking about serial killers, the Vatican, the JFK assassination, all sorts of stuff. So we can go on and on. Jim Jatras. I mean, there's Patrick Lancaster down there coming at us from the front lines in Ukraine. This is all sorts of stuff. So completely unparalleled. Jim Jatras. Hold on. Patrick Lancaster at us from the front lines in Ukraine. Boom. Not me to watch myself, but this is completely unparalleled stuff. So if you have friends, if you have Orthodox friends, Christian friends, nationalist friends, people that are into this stuff, please send the show to them. Greatly appreciated. Give them free gifts, get them behind the paywall. It's all greatly appreciated. Obviously, it's linked down below, worldwarnow.co. If you can, keep me in your prayers. It's been a rough few weeks, so personal stuff, but keep myself in your prayers if you can. It's one of the best things about having this audience is so many Orthodox Christians praying for me. So I'm not seeing any new super chats. If anyone else has anything, send it in here last minute. If you send something in during the outro music, I'll put it on the screen at the very least if you send in some cash. So I'll do my best. But with all of that, again, worldwarnow.co, that's what's on the screen. That's where you can help everybody out. Then if you go to X, follow me at GnomeRad. That's right. I'm at over 11,000 followers, doing pretty well. Follow me here on Twitter. That's where I'm posting all the time. Follow us on Telegram at World War Now Telly. Follow the World War Now X account. Seeing archons and everything there. If you follow the World War Now X account, World War Now _ follow us on Telegram at World War Now Telly. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. If you're watching this, please like the video. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. And obviously find us on Substack at worldwarnow.co. That's our central home base. Doesn't seem like we got any more super chats here, so I'm going to be pulling up the outro stream. Stay tuned for World War Now this week. It's going to be a huge show. Get behind that paywall tomorrow. I'm going to be posting the Anthony of Westgate episode about Palantir and everything going on in this current technological sphere. So thank you all so much for tuning in. And with all of that, we will see you on the next one. Crazy World War III evening, if I do say so myself. But I'll see you probably not next week. Jonathan Kelly, $20. Shalom. Yes, my Jewish brother. We will. I'll see you at the. See you with the mole at the Brit Milah later. But thank you to everybody for tuning in. Trying to do my best this week. Going to be some good content while I'm abroad. So thanks for tuning in. Should still be posting content. Maybe not as many live streams, but maybe I'll be coming at you live from some crazy locations. So please keep me in your prayers if you can. And I will see you on the next one. God bless.